When I went on a date with a guy in my neighborhood during COVID, relax, not peak COVID outside, have to order a snack with your drink COVID. How's your quarantine been COVID, not Tiger King COVID? Who's in your bubble COVID, not Savage Dance on TikTok COVID? Anywho, when I went on a date during the pre-fall winter boom of COVID, and it was in my neighborhood, the game changed for Lil Rocky. You mean to tell me I can walk 7 minutes to a bar, decide if I want to stay solely based on vanity, and then when the date's over, there's no form of Uber or public transportation involved? Bitch, sign me up. This is where I thrive. A 1 mile radius. Do the girls tell me to branch out? Of course they do. They know the dangers of running into a man whose face you sat on while at the Rite Aid using the blood pressure machine, sans makeup, post-workout, with a bag of Pirate's Booty on your lap and a coconut water in your right hand. But I like to live wild, so hi-ho, it's off to dates in my neighborhood I go. So on this date in my hood a few months ago, I meet this dude at a bar, very cute. I would say if all 4 guys from the Jersey Shore had a baby and the stork failed to give him height, that's what I was working with. I happen to think 2 out of the 4 guys from Jersey Shore are very attractive, and you having a problem with that is the definition of different strokes for different folks. He got me a tequila soda right off the bat, and I had a good feeling. That feeling was immediately squashed by him mentioning his long-term ex-girlfriend in the first 5 minutes. It changes the tune. You can't really start something great with someone who's hung up on their ex. So it was in that moment I decided, fuck it. I'm already here. The outfit's on point. I cracked my neck and knuckles. Let's dive into this trauma, baby. I couldn't finish my tequila faster as he unloaded all about how she didn't like how he said "Hail Satan" instead of "Oh my God." Because if God doesn't exist, why did it matter if he says "Hail Satan"? Okay, Lucifer, go on. Then because I wanted to get my baba wawa on, I essentially began interviewing him. The sentence I liked the least was that one of the women he dated after his main squeeze didn't like that he wouldn't put her on his Instagram. Maybe you can't see why that reeks of fuckboy, but I can. It felt like he was conditioning me with seeds he would use if we later started dating to say, see, I told you I don't post pics like that. Relax, Cardi B. I don't need to go on your gram. I can barely sit through this conversation without telling you you belong on Fuckboy Island. After 2 drinks and my grocery list running through my head, I knew I was going to need to stop at the store for some double D's and a blood pressure check. But I also needed an avocado for my morning avo toast. I told him it was getting late, 9:20. I had to be up early to pee and fall back to sleep, so I better be going. He looked pissed. It was like his whole demeanor changed. Was he mad I wouldn't smash? Was he pissed we didn't go down the roster of all his exes to point out more of their flaws? Who's to say? But he got tense and reluctantly walked me to the produce store. Did he walk by me at that same produce store where I squeezed avocado after avocado searching for the perfect single avocado for a perfect single girl? Yeah. Am I going to keep dating guys in my neighborhood until they invent teleportation? You bet your ex I am. Duh. Welcome to the Rocky Rundown, where you get to learn a little bit about my week. Party God Squad, hell to the O. Did you have a fantastic week since we last got together over the airwaves? I sure hope so. Today, if you're listening on Monday, is my Gram's birthday, and she's 85. Though she is very supportive of Wild Nights with Rocky Powell, I don't believe she's listened to a single episode because I don't think she wants to know the truth about her voyeuristic, cataclysmic, and orgasm-horrific granddaughter. But much like a miniature Russian doll emerging from its elder Russian doll, if Russian dolls were Irish, I would not exist without her. Happy birthday, Graham. And my Aunt Maria, who also wouldn't exist without my Graham. Happy birthday to you too on Tuesday. I love you both. I want to chat with everyone a little bit about road rage. Do you or someone you know suffer from it? Well, stop. I had to drive a lot this week, a little bit for work, and a little bit driving a friend's car last night getting home, trying to beat the hurricane. And who I encountered on the road both times was shocking. A Karen honking at me because she was blocking me from getting out of my parking space. The nerve. First and foremost. People beeping at each other while sheets of rain fell from the sky, honking when I stopped the car for 1 second to let someone out, only to then sit at a red light. Energy is like so contagious. And the good news is you have the power to spread and receive good energy, which then can spread more good energy. And if you don't believe me, motherfucking try it out. See what happens in a moment when you want to honk and yell and flip someone off and you breathe and stop. For real. Give it what you got. I didn't say that originally. It was rapper Q-Tip, but the message applies. The more goodness we put out, the more fun and wild our lives can be. It won't kill you. It'll only make you harder, better, faster, stronger. Again, quoting rapper Kanye West, can we all just for a second, whatever you think about him as a person, that's valid, I assure you. But the man is a lyrical genius, and you know it's true. That being said, I think the recent beef between him and Drake is staged to help promote both of their upcoming albums. Please refer to Kanye West and Taylor Swift whenever they get the chance to publicly beef. That got me thinking. There are so many geniuses throughout the history of the world, and so many more to come. The best song you've ever heard may not have even dropped yet. I think Taylor Swift said that about movies. Or did she say the best movies weren't written? I don't know, but I agree. Why am I feeling so philosophical today? I think it's because I ordered Chinese food and I read the fortune cookie, and now I feel like I could write fortune cookies. That brings us to Rocky's highest thoughts, my most stoned thoughts of the week. Number 1, has anyone ever been so sad that they swam with sharks on purpose? Number 2, is bubble wrap the original whoopee cushion? Number 3, if you blow weed smoke at a houseplant, is the houseplant a cannibal? Number 4, I think I'd thrive as a reality show star if someone could just please help me film an audition tape. Number 5, how many times have I said the word hey in my lifetime, including hey, having to do with horses? And number 6, what is the origin of Where's Waldo? Who wrote it? Perhaps an ex-girlfriend he abandoned. My guest this week is none other than comedian Corey Easley. Corey's wild word was Boston, and he's a New York fella, so perhaps there's a little bit of travel in your future ear holes. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Wild Nights with Rocky, on Twitter at Wild Nights Pod. If you haven't done so already, please write me a review on Apple Podcasts, and thank you to those of you who have done so already. It really does make a difference. And now, please enjoy my Wild Nights conversation with Corey Easley. Corey, welcome. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. This is a pleasure. I just want to say right off the bat, since I started my podcast in December, you and I have always been very friendly with each other. You know, we're acquaintances when we see each other out. I'm always happy to see you. It seems like you're always happy to see me, but I would never describe us as close friends. And I want to say to you, personally, since I started my podcast, you have been one of the most supportive people in the game.
I'm a huge fan of the show, and I love when I see somebody, because this is one of those things where it requires like a level of dedication.
Yeah.
You have to do it all the time, even when you feel like no one's listening this week, or even when you feel like I do crazy shit, like listen to myself before I go to bed. Sometimes I'm like, this is probably psycho, but you just kind of get like, so you have to be on top of it, and to see you having been so on top of it is admirable to me, because I'm the same way. And also your show is just very good. It's very entertaining.
Thanks,
you know?
I feel very similarly about you. I look forward to both of our shows come out on Mondays. I look forward to listening to you every Monday. And we'll get into your podcast at the end, but I just want to say thanks for being so supportive. I feel like we've created this really unique quarantine friendship.
Of
You would
course.
you would think we would have created a friendship when we were both in the pit comedy community, but we actually like created this friendship post pit during the podcast, and
Yeah.
I really appreciate it and I value it, and I'm so excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I was also excited to run into you that day at the bar in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah, that was really fun. That was like one of the
Yeah.
days we were finally like dipping our toes with going outside. Shout out to young Ethels.
Shout out.
Shout out. So
Big shout out.
that was a big shout out. Actually, that was the day I found out which gym you used to work for, and I'm probably gonna hit you up for some fitness tips after this because these arms like they're good, but they could be smaller. You know what I mean? I
Hit
need
me
it a
up.
little bit tight, a little bit tighter.
I
Now
got you.
I've been watching on Instagram and online. You and your wife, you do some traveling. I'm sure safely, very safely, but I've seen you do some traveling during the pandemic here. Have you done any traveling to, let's say, I don't know, Boston?
Hoo-hoo. You know what's funny about Boston is whenever I think about that place, like people associate it with so many things, right? Like people think of like people go to college there.
Yeah.
Fucking the Red Sox, like I just think of the amount of times I've gone there just to go somewhere else besides New York and get as reckless and drunk as I possibly could when I was like in my early 20s.
Yeah.
And it was
I
just like a thing that we did.
I also use Boston, maybe not to get recklessly drunk. I don't think I've ever been drunk in Boston for like partying purposes, but I've used it as a hub to get elsewhere. But for everybody listening, Corey's wild word was Boston. So he's about to take us on a journey. I'm excited. I know all the Party God Squad is excited. Corey, tell us
Hey.
your story about Boston.
All right. So a few years back, probably like 6, 7 years ago at this point, me and damn, maybe even longer. But anyway, me and a few of my friends, me and my best friend, it was his birthday.
Hmm.
And we just kept going to Boston for like weekends, right? So he's like, I'm like, what do you want to do for your birthday? He's like, let's go to Boston,
Yeah.
right? Let's just go up there, nice and easy, stay in a hotel, bar hop, whatever.
This is from New York. You two were traveling
This
because
is from New
you're a
York.
New Yorker.
Yeah. So I was born and raised in New York. So we're coming up from the Bronx. So me, him, and me, my friend Turtle, and our friend Julian. Julian was the one that had the car at the time.
Okay.
He was the friend with the car. So the friend with the car is like you really want to talk them into coming wherever you're going because then
Yeah.
you got a designated driver. Even though he would fucking sometimes have a drink, but he was very responsible.
He was your designated drunk driver. I had one of
Yeah,
those in
yeah.
college too. And I don't recommend anyone does that, but
It's not smart.
it's not
You
smart.
just get really fucking lucky, right?
Yeah, every time.
So yeah, so the plan was, all right, we're going to Boston. It was November. It was getting cold, right?
Yeah.
It's fucking Boston. It's not like warm unless it's like summertime.
No, New
So
England.
we knew that our plan was to go to Boston on the weekend. So Friday night, me and Turtle get together and he's gonna crash at my apartment.
Uh-huh.
So the plan was, all right, let's just go out drinking and hang out. The weekend starts now. As soon as I get out of work, the weekend is starting. So we go grab a couple of gin and tonics, like 5 or 6,
Just at the
some
local watering hole.
just like at like the Subway Inn or some shit.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
where we went, somewhere like that. And then we end up, so we're in like the Upper East Side almost, which there's not necessarily a lot of bars there unless you go a little further down to like Turtle Bay at the time.
Uh-huh.
So we went down to Turtle Bay. We end up at Turtle Bay. And this was when Turtle Bay was popping. This was when Jersey Shore was still on TV.
Is this is Turtle Bay, as I've only partied on the east side around 88th and 2nd. Was that
Okay.
Turtle Bay?
Turtle Bay was like in the 50s, like
okay,
the 50s around like 2nd. So
Pig and Whistle kind of vibes.
Pig and Whistle. It's not far from Pig and Whistle, which has Pig and Whistle has mediocre chicken wings.
Yeah,
I will eat them if I'm hammered.
That's it.
But they just, I don't know. It's just something about the sauce. But anyway, maybe they're better now. So we go to Turtle Bay. We're drinking, we're having a good time. We're just we've decided that this is what we're doing for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
So we walk into Turtle Bay and we run into a girl that, oh, one of our friends actually met up with us. Her name was Evelyn. I used to work with her at Club Monaco back in the day when I worked the retail. And we ran into a girl that Turtle had a crush on in high school. We went to high school together, and we saw this girl that he had a crush on in high school. And I'm like, yeah, man, this is your fucking moment.
Yeah.
You had a glow up. You're a grown man now. You know what I mean?
This
Your
is
chances are, you know what I mean? Like, this is the
Yeah.
moment right here. She was looking good. I was like, this is perfect. So we go up. Oh my God, we do the thing. You run into each other. How you been? Found out that she got married. Ooh. And stuff. So she had a husband. But they were just sitting there chatting for a bit, you know?
Yeah.
And he was just like, whatever. I was on the side talking to my other friend. And out of nowhere, in the middle of them talking, he just leans to the side and throws up on the floor next to him, like right where he's standing, and then turns around and continues talking to her like he didn't just throw up.
Oh my
like
God.
He's like, yeah, so, you know, and then I was doing this and then turns around and goes, and anyway, like.
And I'm imagining this is a Friday night. This is a packed bar at this point.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. It was busy. It was packed. He throws up. She didn't even say it. I think everybody was just like, I saw him do it from across the table that I was sitting at. And I just looked at my friend like, did you see him just throw up and act like he didn't do it and continue talking to her with his vomit breath?
Let me ask you this. Is this something that at this point in time would have been out of character for him?
Probably not at that time.
Okay.
Although I hadn't seen him do it. Like, I hadn't seen him do that before, but I've seen him do other things that make that not surprising.
Got it. That's what I wanted to know. Was this something that was surprising? Okay, so you turn to your friend. I can't believe he just vomited on the side while he's talking to this chick. What happens next?
It was hilarious too.
Yeah.
But then, and I also just started like kind of thinking, this girl got married like as soon as she graduated high school to a guy who people knew that one time he shit in a bag and threw it over a bridge.
Oh, so she has a type.
So I was like, all right, so I think the vomit thing is not that bad. This dude comes up and goes, hey, to Turtle, goes, did you see who did this? And he was like, nah, man. And he just kept talking to her. After that, we leave, we go home. So the plan is to get picked up early, bright and early, to drive up to Boston. In the middle of the night, apparently I'm talking about my sleep. I'm not a huge video game person, but I was talking about E Honda from Street Fighter. And then I woke up in the morning and he was like, yo, do you remember saying this shit about E Honda from Street Fighter last night? And I'm like, nope. I just talk in my sleep. Yeah. And then so we get up, we get in the car, we go to Boston, we get to our hotel. It's probably like a Holiday Inn or something.
Yeah.
And we immediately start bar hopping. And it's his birthday. And everywhere we go, I'm like, yo, it's his birthday. And everybody's saying happy birthday to him. And we're having a good time. And we're eating burgers and we're, you know. And then so we drink a little bit, go back to the hotel, regroup. Then the plan is to go meet up with my friend Julian's friends that he went to college with because they're there in town. And so we get in this cab and we get this real serious African cab driver, like real serious.
Yeah.
And it was at the time where people were saying, what that mouth do?
Okay. Yeah. What that mouth do?
Yeah. And I'm like, so I'm in the cab and I'm fucking yelling out the window at people as we pass. Yo, what that mouth do? And the cab driver is getting fucking agitated. Yeah. Like, because I just wouldn't stop.
And this is not an Uber or Lyft cab driver. This is just a yellow cab driver, right?
This is this is before like,
all
people,
that.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm just doing that, and the cab driver like kind of scolds me, like, yo, man, I need you to stop doing that shit.
Yeah. But in like a deep, scary, serious African voice.
Yeah, he was like not fucking around. And then I was like, all right. And then I look at him and I go, yo, but can I ask you a question? What that mouth do? And then he's like, and then he gets fucking furious.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm only going to tell you one more fucking time. And then I'm like, all right, I'll stop. And then like 2 minutes later, I did it again.
Yeah.
He kicks me out of the fucking cab. So now we got to walk all the way across town. But also, as he's kicking me out of the cab, it's not a proud moment. Truth be told, I think I was going through something at the time. But I start fucking threatening. I was like, I'll fucking kill you. I'm on the street. I just got kicked out of a cab.
Yeah.
You know, I'm ashamed of myself, but I'm also just leaning real hard into the fact that, like, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what it was.
It was young pride, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Young
mean, this
pride.
is how I know I was kind of like looking for trouble. I was walking around in Boston with a shirt that said New York all over it and a Yankee
Yeah.
hat on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was just like, fuck it. Like, all right, we'll see what happens,
Yeah, you're like putting stickers on what's the stadium in Boston? You're like putting Yankee stickers outside the stadium.
We actually weren't far from Fenway Park, and
Fenway
some
Park.
dude came up to me and he was like, yo, man, you got some fucking balls wearing that hat around here. And I was like, and I was so hammered at the time that I like didn't really realize what he was saying to me.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he was like, what's your name?
You're like
And I
Derek
was,
Jeter.
and that's what I should have said. I was like, Corey. And he's like, oh shit, man, my name's Corey too. And then he fucking gave me a hug. Like it
Oh
was the
my
closest
God.
I got to getting into a fight. But that was later in the night. But so, all right, so we get to where we're going to meet up.
Wait, let me
With,
ask you this. When you're screaming at the cab driver, was he screaming back at you from the car or did
yeah,
he
he
like
was.
drive off? He was
No,
not,
he
but he
pulled
didn't get
over on the
out.
side of the road. He didn't get out though. But I was like, I think honestly, if it was like just me and him, because it was me and two other dudes, I think if it
Yeah.
was just me and him, he probably would have got out of the car. And I was so fucking drunk that he could have pushed me and I would have just fell over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Wow.
know what I mean? But he didn't get out.
Perfect. So he drives off. You guys are still on your destination.
So we still go and we're having a good time and we're
Yeah.
dancing and we're going to like fake clubs,
Yeah.
fake clubs,
Of
like
course.
you're in a bar, but it's like there's room to dance,
Yeah.
so we're
Yeah.
doing all that. And at some point or other, I sit down next to the dance floor and start, after all this, I just sit there and start having a fucking full-blown crying breakdown.
Oh no.
But in the meantime, like my turtle was talking to this other girl that was friends with my friend Julian's friend from college.
Yeah, yeah.
He was like, yeah, I feel like she's giving me the vibe, like this shit might happen.
This is a go. Yeah.
They were both single. They were both looking to hook up with people.
Yeah.
It was great. I stood right in the middle of where everyone could see me and started full-blown weeping and just fucking having a meltdown. For what reason? I don't know. Truthfully, this is what I think it is. I think I was going through a breakup at the time. And that's how I decided to handle it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
like, I'm going to get really fucked up and then become a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, unfortunately, I do know what you mean.
Yeah. So that's kind of what happened. And then and he was like, yo, he said, I'm telling you right now, because I spoke to him about this recently. He was like, he was like, we were having a conversation, me and this girl, where it was like, so where are you staying? Like, you want to get out of here? We about to go do this, like they were ready. He was ready to take the D train to Pound Town. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He was getting ready to see what that mouth do.
Yeah, exactly. He was really going to find out. And I fucking took that away from him because she became so concerned. What about your friend? Is he going to be okay?
Yeah.
And he was drunk too. So he was like, fuck my friend. Let's go do this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But she wasn't having it. She was a little more compassionate than that.
Yeah.
But I was having this breakdown, and all I could do in this breakdown was ask for someone to please. I demanded that someone get me a Jack Neat so I could sit there and fucking cry into this cup of Jack Daniels.
Like the old man you
like
are.
Like an old fucking man. And it was not a proud moment. But now that I look back, I'm like, I know why I was doing that shit,
Yeah, yeah. You can reflect now and kind of see. That's growth, though. That's like, we have to have those moments. I mean, we don't have to have those moments, but I would be hard up to find a lot of people who in their early 20s who like to party, who didn't go through breakups. And I mean, even early 20s or late 20s or whenever this phase hits you, it's like the rhythm. It's gonna get you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny because I feel like it was like a pattern. Like anytime I would go through a breakup, we would go to some bullshit place. Not to say Boston is a bullshit place, but
low key, that's what you're trying to say.
But I would go through. I mean, I actually really love the city of Boston.
Yeah.
But like, I said bullshit place because one time we did go to Atlantic City, which I really actually do think is a bullshit place.
Well, yeah, but it's
You know,
fun.
but it's fun. It is fun, and we tried to have fun, but I was going through a breakup, so
Yeah.
nobody else is allowed to have fun now because I'm not I'm not in a good place. And that was like, I think that is a thing in your 20s. It's like, I'm not in a good place, so no one else can have fun now.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I am like very happy to not be that person anymore. It can
Damn.
be very burdensome. I remember I was really drunk in Ireland once, and I took two of my closest girlfriends. I took them in the bathroom and I just like wept in this pub in Ireland because I was like going through a breakup too, and I just couldn't like get my bearings together, and I had one shot too many, and next thing you know, I'm in this amazing country with surrounded by amazing people, and I'm like, why doesn't he love me? You know what I mean? And it's just ugh, God, I never want to be her again. I love her and she served her purpose, but I never want to be that version of me again. So
Do you have
I
a
feel
name
you.
for that person? Do you have like a name for that version of you?
Maybe Young Rock. Young Rock.
Oh, because I call that version of me Curious George.
Curious George. Okay.
Yeah. I had
Why
this
Curious
moment.
George?
Well, I had this moment where I was in Atlanta, I think 2 years ago, and
Uh-huh.
I was hanging out with Turtle again. We were in Atlanta and we're sitting down and we're day drinking, and I kept going, fuck it, I'm Curious George, it doesn't matter. And I had a lot on my mind, I think. And I think that, and as I got drunker and drunker, I kept saying, I'm Curious George. And I started making up songs about how I was Curious George. And I
Amazing.
started going up to other people's tables that were sitting down and going, hey, when those guys walk by to go to the bathroom, could you like get their attention and let them know that I'm Curious George? Like I was doing shit like that. Like I made sure that everybody in there knew that I was Curious George. And then right before we left, Curious George started crying in front of everybody again. You know what I mean?
Again.
So it's like Curious George is a problematic dude. I
He's
think
just
Curious,
emotional.
yeah, he's really emotional. I think he needs to talk to someone.
We
But
all
I
do.
haven't been,
Well, we're doing it
yeah,
now. We're being each other's like it isn't podcasting in a weird way a form of therapy.
for sure, 100%.
It's a weird in a weird way it is a form of therapy. Not to take anything away from professional therapists because they are amazing and they change the world every day, but podcasting in a weird way is very therapeutic for me at least. And I have one alter ego actually. Sometimes once in a while my friends, or they'll be reminded if they hear like a Biggie Smalls song or something, they'll call me Biggie once in a blue moon because I was upstate at a friend's house. It was a big group of us, and we were doing mushrooms. A couple people were on acid. I happened to be on mushrooms, and we were just sitting around this beautiful friend circle. Everybody's like tripping balls. And then I was wearing an all white snowsuit. It was in the middle of February. I'm wearing an all white snowsuit. Probably this is maybe 2013 or 14. And I just sat there at like the peak of my mushroom trip and I go, I feel like Biggie Smalls backstage at Jimmy Kimmel. First of all, Jimmy Kimmel didn't even have a show.
At
I
the
think he had the
time.
Man Show maybe, but he didn't have his own talk show. But I was like, right now I feel like Biggie Smalls backstage at Jimmy Kimmel, and everyone just buzzed out laughing, and I
That's
really
so,
did.
but you're so inventive. Like I've seen you perform so many times, like with Hero Complex and stuff.
Yes.
And I'm just like, this girl's brilliant.
Oh
Like
my God,
you're
Corey,
so
thank you.
quick, you know,
Thank you.
like
Thank
it
you.
doesn't surprise me that you would just have that. You know what I mean?
I do love Biggie. I appreciate you saying that. I've also this I mean, I feel like we're ping-ponging right now, but I'm feeling the flow of it cuz that was definitely a crazy story, and like I know this person that you're talking about, this crying guy, and just to I want to ask about Turtle in a second, but he had this vomiting moment at the bar. When I was a freshman in college, I went to a frat party, and my school was very small. It was a small private school in Long Island, and my college, and it was very safe. It was very beautiful. We had bunnies on the campus. I got there, I was like
Real Snow White moment.
very Snow White. It was a really great school. I can't say anything about it, but it was small. So we only had like I want to say 2 fraternities that were of note. And so one of the fraternities, Kappa Sigma, would have house parties, and basically you pay $5, you get a cup, and there's probably, I don't know, 50 to 70 people in a basement and the second floor. So I went to a Kappa Sigma party my freshman year, and the guys were really cool. There were, there's stereotypes about frat guys, but these were not those kind of frat guys. They like to party, but as far as I know, there was no kind of they weren't up to any, they weren't up to, no good. They were good guys.
Yeah.
And I found myself at the end of the night in a white shirt, in jeans, freshman, 18-year-old Rocky. I think I still had braces on the top row of my teeth because I got the bottom rows off first. So that not only did I go to college with braces, but I only had them on the top teeth. So that was great. And I go to this party, and they're all going to give me a ride back to campus. So I end up at this bagel shop with like 7 frat guys who I don't know any of them. They could be horrible men. They could take advantage of me, whatever they want to do. And really, they just bought me bagels. And then I'm driving back to campus with one of them in their back seat, and he's dropping somebody off at this dorm, and then he's going to the other dorm and dropping somebody off, and then I'm the last stop, or the second to last stop, and he whips around, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna throw up. This is happening. And so we get right in front of my dorm, and probably 10 seconds before I get in front of my dorm, I just throw up all over myself, all over his seatbelt, and I just go, thanks for the ride. And I get out of the car, and I don't say anything.
Oh my God.
Then I go up to my dorm room. I put the shirt in a plastic bag, tie it up, throw it off to the side. I probably didn't even shower because I'm a dirty bird. And I think I apologized to him. I thanked him and said I was really sorry. And I said, did you know that I threw up? And he was like, well, yeah, I just had my car detailed.
Did you know?
It's all over my seatbelt. And the worst part about it, the grossest part about it, was I didn't find that shirt in the plastic bag for like a month later.
That's, it's funny. The second you said that, I was like, this shirt has to come back at some point.
Yeah.
I need to know what happened.
The shirt was in a plastic bag in the corner.
How did it smell? Did you open it, or did you dare to open it?
I mean, like, sorry to anybody who has the queasy stomach, but there was most definitely mold on this shirt. I mean, it was
for sure.
It was low for me.
Yeah.
It was low for me. But vomit talk aside, I feel like I could go back and forth with throw up stories. Before we get into Corey, I have to ask: is Turtle's nickname Turtle because of Entourage?
So what happened was, we were in college, and he used to always wear a fitted, always backwards, I think, because he started going bald kind of young, and I feel like he would just have hats on all the time because he wasn't like, him.
Yeah.
He wasn't cool with it at first, but I think he's got a great head shape for being bald, but nobody wants to hear that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially when you're younger.
Yeah, he had to check me one time and be like, yo, man, could you stop making fun of me going bald? Like, it really hurts my feelings. Yeah. And I felt so bad, like, damn, that's crazy, because I never, you know what I mean? Like, you laugh and shit. I guess I'm, whatever. But
so it's bald because, go ahead.
So he would show up in these hats all the time, or like in a basketball jersey, or whatever. And I'll be like, yo, doesn't this motherfucker, one day I said, because he had the beard set up the same way as Jerry Ferrara. Yeah. And I said, yo, we were in the radio station. So I used to be the president of the radio station at Lehman College.
Okay.
So I was like, I was just in there just fucking, I didn't do shit. So,
right.
so I said, but I was the president though. And I said, yo, doesn't this fucking guy look like Turtle from Entourage? And everybody looked at him, and then he just became Turtle from Entourage. But I just recently watched this Mos Def interview about how he had people start calling him Yasin Bey instead of Mos Def. And I feel like I'm going to stop calling him Turtle right after this podcast. Okay.
You're starting your own movement.
Yeah, because he does, it's not his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
his name is,
it's a nickname earned. Yeah, it's a nickname earned out of like, a character who's kind of a goof and who's kind of, but that's what I thought. That's why I thought you named him Turtle, or that's why I thought his nickname was Turtle. But Yeah, I know Entourage is such a problematic show, but I've had like I think I had
First of all, it's one of my favorite shows ever.
me too. I had one of my first kisses like while Entourage was on in the background. And so I always like associate it with a specific time in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean the show had great characters, and
Yeah.
it was a fun show.
It could never be made now, but and it definitely had its problems, but I loved it when I watched it for whatever reason I loved it. So let's talk a little bit about Corey. Corey,
Oh
you have
shit.
your own podcast. You've been in the podcast game. Well, now I learned you were the president of the radio club, but you had your own podcast with Frank, aka Turtle.
Uh,
Right?
no. I had a podcast with Ryan Babala called the
Oh.
Truth Serum Podcast.
Oh, it wasn't you and Frank. I thought it
No, no,
was
no. But he would come on it. He would come on it a lot. He was probably our most frequent guest.
That's why I thought it was you two. I always
No,
associated,
yeah,
and I thought Ryan was the one that
yeah,
was the.
yeah.
Oh, interesting. So I'm learning a little something today. And
Look at that.
you have had that podcast. You had that for quite some time.
Yeah, yeah. We did that for about 3.5, 4 years, probably.
Wow. So that's where you got your podcast start, I guess. And then now you have Corey has a podcast. So how did Corey has a podcast? How did that get started?
Well, Corey has a podcast started because one day I was sitting at home and we were in quarantine,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, sorry, I'm drinking a LaCroix right now, and the bubbles are coming up. I'm not
That's
gonna
okay.
vomit.
Well,
But the
if you
bubbles.
do, we'll blame it on someone else.
So yeah, I was home and I was just like, I've always wanted to do this, and I feel like I've always wanted to have a solo show, but I feel like it's not easy to do.
No.
It's not easy to have no one to bounce off of.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. Even sometimes I've said things on that show by myself where people have like messaged me like disagreeing with something I've said. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no one in the moment right now is here to disagree. So I could just say how I feel.
Whatever
I
you
think
want.
I wanted to do it because I wanted to have a place where I could speak, because I feel like we live in the age where people just think they know you based on
Mm-hmm.
what you portray on social
Of
media.
course.
And I get to go on the show and talk, and it's like sometimes I say things that like a week later I could disagree with. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't really feel like that anymore. Or sometimes I say things I'm like, that might be a little rough, but like I really did feel like that in that moment or whatever. But it gives me an opportunity to kind of just like let go and not try to be safe under anybody else's standards, and just like fuck it, people are either going to like this or they're not. If I say something that somebody doesn't like, they could just turn it off.
Yeah.
But people seem to like the show, so it's cool. That's what I wanted to be able to express myself beyond just what you see in pictures of me. I'm nice, I'm friendly to everybody, but I also might have an opinion that you also don't share. So,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Yeah. That's totally okay. And one of the things I love about your podcast, it's great. They're bite-sized episodes. The episodes usually range from 20 to 30 minutes, not even sometimes, maybe 20 to 25 minutes. So they're
Yeah.
bite-sized episodes. I usually digest them with my Monday breakfast and coffee. And one of the things I admire about it is it is funny. It's very funny, but also you have no problem making it real. You discuss family issues that happen to you, you discuss real life things that bother you, and we have two different podcasts, but one of the things I struggle with is I'm a very open book. I like to talk about the crazy things I do, but I don't talk about everything crazy I do. And I don't talk about every, personal day to day life. I talk about observations that I think are funny. And I really admire people who have podcasts who are saying, this is what's happening in my life, and it's not pretty and it's not funny, and it might piss somebody off that's listening because I'm talking about them, but it's the truth of what's happening in my life. And that takes a level of courage that I don't necessarily have just yet, or not even that I don't have. I'm not ready to tap into that. So I respect your podcast a lot because of that.
I appreciate that. I mean, and thank you a lot. I actually really liked when you had Isabel Owens on. Shout out to her.
Shout
I'm a
out to
big
my
fan of her.
girl.
She actually one day did one of the most gangster things that I've ever seen somebody do, where I got assaulted at the bar by a woman and she
Ooh.
jumped over the fucking Isabel jumped over the bar and was like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Like, and it was just like, she's just forever cool in my book, no matter what.
She
So
is.
shout out to her. But
I know that story. Isabel is a gangsta.
She really fucking
don't
is.
sleep on that girl. She is a gangsta for real. I love her
She
so
really
much.
is. I respect her forever.
Yeah,
So
she's a real one.
But earlier in that episode, you were talking about the first time you had done cocaine. And I was like, I think the same thing. Like, I think this is not something that I necessarily have talked about before on my show. You know what I mean? It's been a little over a year now. Like, this is not something that I've talked about. And we've all partied and we've done drugs and shit. And it's like, I don't really get into that enough. Maybe I should dive into the fact that somebody walked out of the bathroom, tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey man, I left it on top, left it on top of the hand dryer." And it's like, it's like, yeah, I never really got into that, but I think it's so cool because you do have that element of bravery. You throw it into your poetry. You get to you display your artistry in so many different ways that I think is cool. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just going on here and just like, fuck, I'm doing this right now. This is how I feel right now. And then that's it. And it's a snippet and it's a bite-sized thing into this thought process that I'm having. And that's just this week, right? It's like, I hear you and you got poetry and you have like a formula. And like, I like what you do a lot. So
thanks, Corey. Yeah, and I right back at you. That's why I feel like this has been a really fun conversation. And you have some exciting stuff coming up.
For sure.
When this episode gets released, it will be the premiere night of new sketch team Beverly at Improv Asylum in New York City.
Yes, it will. Shout out to Gary Denoya.
Shout out to Gary Denoya. He put this whole thing together.
He really fucking did. That guy. I had a conversation. I actually had him on my podcast.
Yeah, I listened to the episode.
And yeah, that dude's something else, man. He's genuinely a kind person.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like when you notice how kind someone is, that's when you realize how rare it is for someone to be so kind. Yeah. It's like, why, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like he's caring and he looks out for people for real. Like he's a true team player. And he reached out to me and asked me to be in this show, and I was honored. So yeah, we got the show coming up, Beverly, some great sketches. Like the first table read went really well. You know when a table read goes well and everybody's laughing their asses off during the table read?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to doing that. And I'm really happy that I was given the opportunity even to be a part of it. So
good.
Check it out.
And check it out if you can make it. It's next month or this Monday if you're listening today, August 23rd. And Rich Templeton, my first guest ever, is also on.
Yes.
Yeah, he's on it too. So give Corey some love, give Gary some love, give Rich some love. Corey, where can everybody find you?
You can find me anywhere podcasts are heard. You can even do the, hey, Google, play Corey Has a Podcast. The podcast is called Corey Has a Podcast. Mm-hmm. It's on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, Amazon. What's the yellow one?
Stitcher?
It's on Stitcher. Mm-hmm. It's on Audible. It's on everywhere.
It's on everywhere, everybody.
Just type it in and you can come check out the show.
Start your Mondays with Corey. I know I start my Monday every Monday with Corey and I enjoy it. And as long as he keeps putting out episodes, I'm going to keep listening, and I encourage you to do the same. Corey, thank you so much for doing the show. This was a blast.
Thank you, Rocky. Thank you so much. I'm fucking pumped that we got to do this.
Me too. This was a really good time. It was really nice to have you on, and I'm sure I will see you soon in the future.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Me too. Maybe, hopefully not. I'm glad we're meeting and doing this as a, having an adult friendship, and that young Rock and Curious George aren't out at the bar together.
Crying.
There would not be enough tissues in the world, Corey.
For real. Crying, taking shots, and vomiting.
Crying, taking shots, and vomiting. That if we ever do a 2-prov team, that'll be our name. Corey, thank you so much for doing this show. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon, Rocky.
Bye.